Hey guys, welcome back. It's Cobra Stacker here. So we've been seeing loads of YouTube videos about CBDCs, bank runs, all sorts of problems, banks collapsing. I'm getting phone calls from bullion companies ringing me up and saying, well, after this weekend of what's happened, how do you want to do things? Let's talk about the fear factor. How is this going to affect us? Hey guys, Cobra Stacker here. Now, listen, before I start this, I'm playing devil's advocate to a lot of videos which have gone out there by YouTubers. Unfortunately, we've seen before how social media affects things and how we can make things into bigger conspiracies than what they may be. For example, how many of you remember when 5G was coming out? How many people were jumping up and down and saying that 5G was actually going to kill people, and that was the whole plan of the government's? Some were saying it was to reduce population. Others were saying different things. And did you know that all of this started with social media? Social media was pushed by celebrities in America saying these sort of things. And with the following they had, people believed it. Well, it spread like wildfire. And let me tell you, here in the UK, you had young people going out there and burning down the 5G towers. Now, my thing was always saying to people, look, if 5G as a company, or if the people using it, EE, T-Mobile, all the rest of them, are using 5G and they're doing it to kill us all off, how are they going to make their money? Because when we're all dead or we're all dying, they're not exactly going to be pulling in the bucks, are they? And it really takes a simple bit of logic to think about things and see where they fall down in their conspiracies. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we ain't got problems in the world financially. We have got major problems. There's no doubt about it. And the reason we grab the gold and silver we do is to protect against certain situations which are going on. So let's go through a few of the problems that are going on at the moment and how we should change or not change the way we think about it. Let's start with inflation and the banks closing down in America. Now, there's been about 4 banks now which have collapsed in America, and they've all been saved and bought out by the bigger banks, i.e. JP Morgan and a couple of others. Now, what seems to be happening is over a quarter of deposits are with these big banks. I think it's more, actually, like 50%, but don't quote me on that. And these smaller banks which are closing down, and when we say small, we're not saying they're tiny little banks, they are substantial banks. But when they're closing down, the bigger banks are buying them out, basically. They are getting hold of them, bailing them out, but bailing them out debt-free. So when they take over, they take none of the debts that these banks had. Which means, once again, money to the rich. The rich get richer. There are approximately 5,000 different banks in America. Smaller banks, let's say. Smaller, not small, but smaller. And some of them bought bonds. They invested the money they had in bonds. Well, the dollar is collapsing. It's falling down. Bonds are of no use to anyone. Then people are panicking. People are hearing little things. They're panicking. They're running to the banks and pulling out their money. This is self-prophesizing destruction. That is what's happening. Now, we are in a situation where that will come to the UK. So I'm talking about America, and this is nothing against America or anything. I love the place. But I'm talking about America because that's where it's beginning, and it always spreads to the UK. So number one, it's not only the small people who are pulling out their money, companies are pulling out their money out of these banks, and that affects them. How do we avoid this? Truthfully, we probably can't. What we have in the banks is too little. The common man, what they have in the banks is too little to be affecting them. But it's the big banks, it's the big businesses, that are really affecting them. The problem is corruption, though. So there are senates who knew about certain banks closing down, sold all their shares and invested them in JP Morgan. made an absolute fortune. And it happens all the time. We hear about it all the time. How does that affect our gold and silver? Well, have you noticed the price of gold shooting up one day, shooting down the next day, partly because of the banks? And when there's a problem, the gold shoots up straight away. Another bank breaks down, the gold shoots up. And then it settles down after a couple of days and comes back to a level. The Federal Reserve turned around and did another 0.25 interest increase and raised the bar again. What happened? Gold shot up, nearly hitting its all-time highs. And then over the last couple of days, it settled again. So should we adjust in this way our stacking habits to counter this or for ourselves to save our money? Not really. We're in for a rough year or two with the economics of the world. And I don't think that changing your habits or panic buying because of this, pulling out your cash out of the banks and all that lot and running to gold and silver is the right way. Do not get me wrong. Having gold and silver is definitely a good move. But taking all your money out and investing it straight away and having this panic buy is not going to be a good move. Okay, that's a little bit about the banks. Though we'll cover another subject. There's a great guy, 365 Days of Silver. I watch all his videos and he's phenomenal. But he did a couple of videos on banks and how he went down to the banks and he couldn't get his money out for love or money. They were causing him a load of problems or asking him a load of questions. And I want to play devil's advocate to that one. And in no way is that against 365. I'm sure he's had problems and many people probably have. But I want to also put this to you. Look, to avoid a bank run, the banks will make sure that vast quantities of money are not left out of their banks in an instant. And we're not talking vast quantities. When 365 was talking, he first started off talking about $5,000, then $3,000, then $1,000, even down to hundreds, and had problems all the way through. But on the flip of that, I have taken out 2 lots of $5,000, once in December, once probably about 2 months ago now, and then another lot of $3,000 with no hassles whatsoever. Yes, don't get me wrong. I had to answer a couple of questions. What do you need the money for? Yeah, I get it. You don't really want to say what you need the money for. But you know what? Make something up. It's no big deal. Oh, I don't know. Whatever you want to make up. I couldn't even think off the top of my head, but have a plan. Are you being scammed? Is anyone asking you to take the money out? Look, that's a legit and reasonable question. There are so many scams out there and so many people fall for the scam. So no one's trying to stop me or make me take the money out, etc. So yeah, cool. That's a legit question. Now, I haven't had a problem. I don't know if that's the type of accounts I've got or whatever. But then I went in once and I only wanted $2,000 out. And the lady said, yeah, that's okay. And this was not my branch. That's okay. That's the limit. You can take that out. No problem at all. And I took the $2,000 out. So some may have limits on what you can take out. Some may turn around and say, you have to give us 24 hours notice. Now, I get it. That's inconvenient. But they're not saying you can't have your money. They're saying you have to give 24 hours notice. All right. But let me ask you something. We're making a big deal about this. And I'm not saying they should stop us having our money. You're absolutely right. Anyone who thinks like that, it is our money to us. And I know people say once you put it in the bank, it ain't actually your money anymore. And yeah, in a way it's right because the bank uses it straight away. But in the same token, it is our money and we should be able to take it out when we want. But if they say, look, it's 24 hours, we're not holding that amount of cash. And I do, to a certain extent, understand that because a lot more stuff is being done with computers, with debit cards, credit cards, etc. So cash isn't king anymore. Cash is not king, as in the eyes of trading and the way we do things. So if they're not holding that and they say you've got to give 24 hours notice, what's the big deal? Honestly, tell me, when was the last time you went and bought gold or silver with cash? In America, you guys may do it a lot with the coin shops, but I guarantee over here, you're either ordering off the Royal Mint, Shards, Atkinson's, the Silver Forum, where you're peer-to-peer and you're doing bank transfers. I do not see that we need cash all the time. It's not that big a deal. We're making it that big a deal. And then let's come on to the real one. CBDCs, the big old CBDCs. All right, so the big difference with CBDCs is it's an instant transaction and it's all tracked. Really, guys? That's your problem? Look, again, I'm not saying I think CBDCs are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not championing CBDCs. But I'm also going to put things in perspective, right? Currency as we know it at the moment, the dollar, the pound, and all that lot is fiat. They have run up massive, massive debts with these Ponzi schemes that have been running for ages. There is a real chance we could have a collapse. It won't be soon, it won't be immediate, because what you tend to forget is that no government wants to see it collapse because, one, there's a hell of a lot of debt out there. Two, it is going to cause chaos if it just collapses like that. So an introduction of another monetary system has to come in. And if it's CBDCs, that's what it is. Your money has been tracked for years. Every credit card, every debit card transaction that you do, every bank transfer you do on your laptop, it's all tracked. Yes, you can get a bit of cash out and spend it a bit here and a bit there, and they can't see what you're doing. Whoopie-doo-dah. Who really cares? Your phones are tracked. Your conversations are tracked. Even down at Amazon, listening into what you say, it's already all there. In England, the most CCTV cameras in the world. Yeah, facial recognition out in China. That's coming over here. That's coming over to America. Trust me, it's on its way. So, look, we have problems. We have financial problems in the world. And they are caused by the governments. And they are probably caused by the 1%ers of the people out there with all the money. Don't get me wrong. I am not naive to what's going on. Okay, but you have to be realistic. If we don't have a solution in place, there's going to be a lot more problems. And I guarantee you, CBDs won't just come in and the dollar and the pound and all actual money will just go out the window. It is going to be a slow process, which is going to be introduced over a period of time. They cannot just change a financial situation just like that. And, you know, it would probably affect the people on social benefits more than anything else, because everyone's talking about they can control your money. They can switch it off when they want. They can control what you buy. All right, let's have a think about that. The minute you start telling people, oh, you can't buy so much meat, how many industries out there are going to turn around and just cause an uproar against the government because you've suddenly ruined their business? If they turn around and say, oh, you bought too much alcohol now, etc., all the things you've heard before, really? Really? Is that how it can happen? Do you not think people will riot and revolt if they are too cornered or pushed into a corner too much, that they are not going to take it? Oh, you can't buy this, you can't buy that. Yes, there may be slight little things they can do here and there, controlling money in certain ways, but that, I don't believe, is the aim of it. They have the option of it. Whether it will be used or not is a different thing. And never, ever forget that every single dealer knows this is a hot story right now. This is a way to get people to jump onto gold and silver. Keep talking about CBDCs, bank collapses, and all the rest of it. I did in one of my previous videos, when the first bank collapsed, I got a phone call from a bullion dealer, and it wasn't Atkinson's or Shards. I want to make that clear, or bullion by post, but there was another one. And they called me up at that time and they said, oh, have you heard a bank has collapsed? And, you know, this is a real time, you must invest in gold and silver. And they were trying to use a fear tactic on me. Now, over this weekend just gone, so we're talking about May here, beginning of May, another bank collapsed and was bought out. Now, I get the phone call again yesterday, right? Hi, after the events of the weekend and our discussion before, how are you feeling about things? I'm feeling absolutely fine, mate. right? Do you think you need to buy some gold and silver right now to protect yourself from? Protect myself from what? A bank closed down in America, right? Or was bought out. Didn't even close down. Was bought out in America, right? Yes, our interest rates are going up. Yes, there's problems. There's inflation, all that lot. Why am I going to buy it off you? All right. One, you're pressurizing me through fear. I don't like that. I don't go by fear. And two, I buy most of my stuff off the secondary market. And I tell you what, I'm quite happy with it, thank you very much. And I'm getting it at a fraction of the price that you're selling it for. So thank you very much. And that's what I turned around and said. I said, thank you very much, but I get all my stuff off the secondary market now. Okay, they said. But if you change your mind, please feel free to give us a call. Yeah, you're all right. Thank you very much. So bullion dealers are pushing this rhetoric even more. And unfortunately, we're picking up on it and then we're pushing it out even further. And that is how social media works, right? The story comes out. People who have a vested interest in it will big it up. We grab hold of it, we big it up even more. And as I say, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying there's no problems there, and I'm not saying it's something we shouldn't think about and all that lot. We should know what's going on, absolutely. But all this fear that's going on out there, nah, I'm not going by it. I will buy my gold and silver at the rate I buy my gold and silver for. And, you know, I buy it a bit faster, you know, than a lot of people. And I'm probably wrong for that because I should dollar average do it, you know, whatever you call it, buying it month to month at a slower pace. All right, but that's my issue. That's not because of fear of anything, and it's not fear of missing out. I've got the money and I'm doing it. So please, guys, all I'm saying is still carry on at the rate you're going at. And anyone who may be watching this video who was looking into buying gold and silver, maybe because of all the fear and all that lot, look, it's not a bad way to store your money. It's a long-term thing. Do it slowly. Pick up a bit here and there and just keep stacking it away. That is a good thing to do. But please do not rush out. Grab your money from the banks or spend the money in the banks to pull it out as quick as you can and buy loads of gold and silver in this big panic because everything's going to change in the next few months. How long have people been going on about silver shooting to the moon? Yeah, it's going to be 3 figures, 4 figures. How long has that been going on? Has it happened? No. So in the same token, things will carry on. Things will be hard over the next couple of years. I have no doubt about that. Interest rates rising, mortgages getting harder. You know, it is rough. Food, I mean, even food. I used to go out and do a weekly shop for about £100. I'm now paying £160, £170 for the same shop. It's absolutely ridiculous. People are suffering. People are finding it hard. No two ways about it. But I'm not going to jump onto this rhetoric which is going on about how we have to panic now. And there's loads of videos out there. Panic now. This is happening. That's happening. This is happening. Look, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I promise you, you or me are not going to change that. Yeah, know about it. Protect yourself to a certain extent. But if you think that you're going to change that in any way, shape or form, you absolutely are not. So guys, if you want to get into gold and silver stacking, do it. I have nothing bad to say about it. I love it. I enjoy it. You know, I'm building up a nice stack or collection, whichever way you want to put it. I know that if I'm ever in trouble, I can cash that in and I've got that money. It protects against inflation to a certain extent. The value of your money sitting in a bank is definitely going down year on year at the moment with inflation so high. The money in gold and silver stays steady or slowly goes up. You may get little drops, but in the long term, you'll come out on top. Don't panic. Keep abreast of the situation with the banks. Keep abreast of the situation with CBDCs if you want. But, you know, let's not over-exaggerate the situation in my eyes. Let's just keep strong, keep happy, keep going. Big shout out to all the other YouTube content creators out there in the world of silver and gold stacking. Every one of you are phenomenal and doing a great job. It's not easy, guys. Support everyone out there. They put a lot of effort into what they do, and they give up a lot of time for what they do. And I am not putting down any creator out there who has talked about CBDCs or banking and all that lot. It's just my view, their views, and they look into things. Everyone looks into things to a certain extent, but believe me, we don't get all the information of what's going on out there. There's very few people who have all the cards on the table and they can see what's going on. We get fed little drips and drabs, and then, we turn it into what we feel is going on. So much respect to everyone out there who spends the time to do this. Guys, show some love, show some support, subscribe to these people, subscribe to this channel. Let's make a load more stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's very different. I wasn't planning to do something like this. I was trying to avoid it and stay away from it. But there it is. And this is the Cobra Stacker signing out from the Cobra's Den.